coming in, which, stranger things have happened. My dad used to pick up K rations off the beach in World War II. So, but I mean, basically, they might have weird things they have to do when they come into port. I don't know, but I've never heard that. That's an interesting scenario.
So if we smell something, go ahead and call 911 and somebody will come out and check it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, not skunks. Oh boy, that paint stinks. You really feel threatened by the smell.
I mean, if it smells like propane or natural gas, yeah, absolutely. And it's pretty distinct.
I suspect I know the answer to this question already, but someone was circulating a petition recently to ban fireworks sales in Vashon Island. Do you support that?
Myself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want my personal opinion or my fire
Sure.
budget?
That's what I'm asking.
We've had 3 fires in the last 5 years that we can relate to fireworks. My problem with a full-on fireworks ban is, and this is my personal opinion, basically, they're still going to bring those illegal fireworks over, and they're still going to shoot them off. And those are the ones who cause the problems. It's not the legal ones you buy up at the stand that have been issues for us. It's been those ones that they're still going to buy off of the reservations, and they're going to bring them over and they're going to shoot them off. With 2 police officers on Vashon, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that we live that way, because we do. We have the same thing with the campfires up in the pit, up in the park. Excuse me. I grew up it was the pit, but up in the park, they're going to come up and they're going to check it out, but they don't have enough time to dedicate to go drive through those parks to catch those kids. But my fear with a ban is it's just not going to be the solution to the fireworks problems that have happened. I mean, I heard people talking about the Eagle Creek fire down in the Columbia Gorge a couple of years ago as I walked in. 15-year-old boy threw a firework down the hill and pretty soon had a major conflagration. Of course, that fire had a lot of interesting characteristics that we don't experience here. First off, severe drought conditions, east wind pushing the fire, elevation changes from 200 feet up to 3,000 feet, in short order being like a 48% grade, which is really steep, that caused the spread of that fire. But the bottom line, it was started by illegal fireworks. So.
I was misquoted in the last piece from her saying I support the ban. I've been neutral. I strive very hard to stay in the middle ground. So that was a misquote, obligated to say. However, the commissioners, after much debate at the most recent public meeting, have endorsed and are preparing a letter asking for a ban on fireworks on the islands. There's many ways to look at it. Like Chief said, I don't think fire is our biggest problem with fireworks. I think one of the driving forces is the noise nuance. But my concern with fireworks is more so with the illegals than the small ones, but is injury. I think we have less threat than we do to the wildland than we do to fingers. So from that point of view, if you're going to do fireworks, please be safe. Please don't set anything on fire. Please don't throw them at your neighbor. It's not a joke. It's a joke until it's not, and so.
I don't personally buy fireworks. I don't buy them and I don't use them.
My kids are still mad at me for that.
I lived that scenario when I was younger, and I don't have the need to do that any further. So I haven't for years. But I compiled from 2015 to present what our brush fires were. We had 2 brush piles that people were burning brush that got out of control. We had 6 fires that were unknown, which meant they were on the side of the road. We couldn't tell if it was a cigarette, ant, anything. We just couldn't tell. Campfires / bonfires, 5. We had 5 fires. Fireworks, we had 3 fires.
Chief, when you were firing in something that progressed out of control.
Yeah, pretty much. That we were called to progress out of control 10 by 10. We've gone on a lot of small fires, and it counts as a fire. Industrial, people using equipment or sparks caused 2 fires. Cigarettes were 2 fires. Here's the big one. just like most of the fires in California over the last several years, power lines, 6. 6 fires we can attribute to power lines being knocked down and blown down. Old dead tree fell across the line last year down on Summerhurst Walk and started the hill on fire. We have no water there, and when the power's out, there's no water, so that's all by hand. Structure fire last year caused 1, and careless barbecues, people dumping their ashes from the barbecues in the last 5 years caused 2. So if you look at the statistics, fireworks haven't really been a big player in that scenario. Now again, I don't personally use fireworks, I haven't for years. I just don't have time for it. But I think the biggest problem with what is the cause has always been the illegal versions being bought, not at the stand up on Vashon. Those I don't think we've ever had any kind of problem in the last 5 years that I can think of. So.
And unfortunately, you have I think there's a sign there coming up that says, "Welcome firefighter shooters." The platform up here on the bluff. It's a great place to throw, shoot fireworks. That's why we're here fairly regularly.
Can you explain that? There's a.
Well, I was being facetious. There's a big platform at the intersection where, at Swallow's Nest, where the road bends there right over the bluff. The county built a nice, lovely observation deck. It's a great place to set up fireworks, throw fireworks, shoot fireworks from.
Well, and right along the lines of your plan for this year in doing patrols. Last year, I got called to a beach fire down in that park, sorry. Sorry to go, to get the new terms in order. But I got called to a beach fire down there, and I went, and I came back, and there was 20 or 30 young people, and they're hiding their fireworks. And it wasn't even dark yet. And I just stopped, I shut the truck off in the middle of the road. I just asked them to please not do that. If they needed to go use them, go to the beach somewhere where the sparks would fall into the water. And this was on the 4th of July. I said, please don't let them here, because I will be back tonight and having to fight the fire that you're going to start, and you're going to start one. They left. They didn't shoot their fireworks. So along the lines of your patrolling and you guys finding that, I think it's a great idea. It's a great plan to do that, because, it was just a little, I didn't even go into it with, hey, I'm an authority figure, I'm a jerk and I'm going to tell you can't have fun. I pleaded with them, I don't want to fight this fire tonight, because it's a bad place to fight one. We've had a few fires there over the years. So it's a great idea to make that contact and just be very, very, human with them.
Yeah, I think the other goal of having these volunteer, folks just walk through, take an hour, you're on duty, walk through as much as you can. It's just response time, really. If we notice a fire starting, that's just that much quicker that we get a call in, because we're on the ball looking for it.
Anything else?
Questions are starting to diminish. Just a couple of statistics that I've been working on a bunch of statistics over the last few months, because the news has just basically had us preparing for fire Armageddon. Honestly, I don't feel like we're there yet again. I think statistically it's proving that we are still just in a moderate normal year right now. That doesn't mean it cannot change. But for right now, I feel confident that we're getting the June gloom still. Gray mornings, warm afternoons, but the humidity never quite comes down. When the humidity starts getting down to about 30%, we can start lighting pretty good fires on Vashon. Everything climatizes, because 30% in Eastern Washington doesn't do a whole lot. It'll burn, just not very active. 30% here, we start getting active. 20%, it really gets active, but I've only ever seen that once since I've been tracking weather phenomenon in Vashon. And that happened several years ago, and we had the 105-degree day that we had. We got down to 17% on our humidity, and that's volatile for us. Unfortunately, we didn't have any fires out there. When the burn ban goes into effect, People adhere to that quite well, and we don't have too many problems, other than the earlier mentioned things, power lines, barbecues, things like that. Basically, we're still waiting for King County to enact that burn ban, and they haven't done it. They're not jumping on board like the other counties around us have. I do not know why. We have been in contact with them, because I'm hoping it's going to happen in the very near future. We basically, we've got a responsible community as far as that goes, because when we started doing a full-on, industrial burn ban, if you will, because you still allow campfires in approved fire pits on your personal property. But when they started going on that full industrial burn ban, we cut our brush fires in less than half. We used to, growing up as a young firefighter, I remember going on brush fires all the time, everywhere. And since they did the burn ban, we haven't, and that's a good thing. Doesn't mean we still don't get weird little things. Last year we were down at Camp Self for an unknown start of a fire, and quite frankly, the counselors thought it might have been a young counselor out for a smoke, but couldn't prove it. A nice little hidey hole that they had, and that was what we did there, but we couldn't prove that that's how it started. There was no lightning strike, certainly. But since the burn ban, they started doing that wholeheartedly. It's been a real blessing to our fires season for Vashon. As the chief mentioned, I've gone to a lot of firefighting. I've gone to probably over 125 fires, forest fires in eastern Washington, real forest fires, not brush fires that we got in Vashon. And the starts over there are always very varied of how they got started. It's usually man-made. Except last week, there were 4,000 lightning strikes, and they're waiting for those to start popping up. Because some of those are dormant, as you remember, some of those are dormant, and they will pop up when the weather gets warmer and drier. But they had some serious wetting rain to go with the thunderstorms over there, which is keeping them mellow right now. Just another little history, my son works for the LeGrand Hot Shots. If you're familiar with the Hot Shots, it's like you have the smoke jumpers and then the Hot Shots, and then the rest of us who fight fires down there. And they're crazy. And he's working with the LeGrand Hot Shots. He's in Alaska right now because nothing is burning in Washington, Oregon, or Idaho. So they sent his crew and 5 others from Washington, Oregon, up to fight the fires in Alaska. So my wife had a birthday yesterday, and he actually found a place where he got a cell reception and called her to wish her happy birthday. But he says it's been a really interesting experience, the difference between fighting fires. And he's worked for the Forest Service for 5 years. Fighting fires up there and then down here is a lot different and varied. But the reason they were able to send them up north is there's just nothing happening right now in Washington. And that's a good thing, and it's a bad thing. The reason why it's a bad thing is because they're all going to come at once. When eastern Washington cascades burn, they all start happening, and that's when they call us from here to go assist, because the resources are running dry. But so far, so good. I think the state is fairly normal. I think the Puget Sound region is fairly normal. I think Vashon is. This little breeze we got coming in here, it's bringing moisture off the water, and it's keeping our humidity steady. That's a good thing. I've seen a lot of fires up on the hill over the years behind us go out when the sun went down. Just all of a sudden, the humidity got to a certain point where the fire just couldn't maintain itself, and it went out. Weird phenomenon, because how's that work? That thing was burning 5 minutes ago, and now it's out, and we're not putting water on it. So we have that going for us. Back in the 50s, we had the big fire, the 500-acre fire. My dad was on that fire for many days. And one of the problems that they had was the fire trucks they had to push start because the batteries would be dead in the station. And they didn't have a lot of water, and they didn't have a lot of resources. That was one of the problems. I don't recall the weather pattern they were in back then. But one of the things that I did research on was the winds, you know. I talked to a group of people that were concerned that Vashon was gonna be the next, oh my gosh,
Campfire.
the campfire last year down in California. 70-mile-an-hour winds coming off the hills out in the east. What happens when we get east winds? They're hot and dry, and they bring that humidity right down. We had that week in March where we had east winds and we got hot and dry. It was a weird phenomenon, but it happened all. California, they get that all the time. The Diablo winds come out of the north, on the north, and the Santa Anas are in the south. Same wind, just different names. But they had 70-mile-an-hour winds helping that fire along. Burned 38 square miles in 12 hours. How big is Vashon? 38 square miles. 12 hours. But they've been in drought for years. You know, the interesting thing about that fire was the town had an evacuation plan based on fire in 2008. They literally excavated and straightened the highways in and out so they had an easy egress to get out of the way. 88 people died. It didn't work because they couldn't account for that extreme fire behavior. We've had one fire, or one wind event in the Pacific Northwest between May and October of any consequence. August 29th, 2015. You guys remember that storm? I was coming home from a fire in Lake Chelan and I'd been there for 2 weeks. When we got on the island, the power was pretty bad, you know, because I'd been living with no power for 2 weeks. 65-mile-an-hour gusts in the Puget Sound area. One wind event that we've ever had since they were tracking wind events. Get a lot of them between October and April, but May to September, one event in the last 100 years, which I was impressed. I thought that couldn't be right, but the people who were writing this report are far smarter than me on the weather. I'm a novice. These guys do it for a living, and they research, and which that's a good thing for us because it's going to take a wind event like that to get a big major fire rolling. I'm not going to tell you it can't happen. That would be foolish on my part. If I sat here and tried to tell you guys, relax, it's never going to happen. Shame on me. I'll never tell you that. I just have a good feeling that it's not going to be very likely in the next several years. So, you know, we all need to be diligent, certainly. You know, we've had more problems with people lighting fires in the driftwood out here over the last few years, and that becoming the major problem than, you know, the major brush fires. But they can happen. If they do happen, know what you need to do in your area here, you know. Again, pre-treat. If you see a fire coming towards it, pre-treat your, you know, set your sprinklers up and go. I've saved a lot of properties in eastern Washington with their own sprinkler systems, and a lot of those systems are nothing more than a 3,000-gallon water tank buried 150 feet up the hill, gravity flowing down to their house, and setting up their sprinklers and leaving. One of the things that we've done in the past as well, last year we were on fire, the Aniak Valley, the Eagle Fire up there, and it basically, we had a sprinkler system, an industrial sprinkler system that the Forest Service provides, running for 3 days. Hot shot crew came in and was burning out this hillside, this really steep hillside. And they got down to where we had been pre-treating with the sprinkler system because we were drafting it out of the river, so we had plenty of water. They took their drip torches, which are diesel and gasoline combined, to start the fire, and usually does very well at starting the fire. Couldn't light that. We had pre-treated with the sprinkler systems. They couldn't light it, would not burn. So water's good. Pre-treating is good. Now obviously you can't do that all the time when your water system is going to be running out, but you probably have rules.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You probably have rules against
Bring the
that.
sign around.
But you know, in the event of a fire, I think those rules probably are relaxed, and you would be smart to just treat those front lawns on that leading edge towards the fire.
And we do have a plan in the really unlikely event that we have to evacuate the neighborhood or individuals had to leave, that our rally point would be the country club, thinking that it's over the crest of, of the hill and it's far enough away from the neighborhood that that's sort of the meet point if you're trying to rejoin a family members or something, that you go to the country club, so.
Sure. Well, and, if you ever had a fire start at the bottom of the hill that was burning up and compromising the road out of here, anything on this side close to the water, you'd be safe. Fire doesn't generally come backward, it usually goes up. If it does come back, it goes very slow. But you'd be safe out along the edge of the water here. And I know it might not be comfortable. We got trapped, if you will, behind a fire once up in Chelan, where the fire burned up over our escape route, and we had to stay the night in a safety zone. Well, the worst threat was the cougars. For real, they were out and about, and they were making noise. But it's not a comfortable feeling being on the wrong side of the fire, but you can survive it quite safely, quite effectively. So that's another thought from Lower Gold Beach. Upper Gold Beach, absolutely great place to go.
I concur with Chief. We're not perceiving the threat that the media is pushing right now here on the island. But that'd be foolish of us not to take advantage of the heightened awareness and get you to start thinking about it and start preparing. I appreciate, you may have heard the phrase Firewise. It's put out by the federal government. It's on how to do the 30-foot clear and how to protect your property. You saw in the paper recently someone saying we don't live here in this environment to have 30, 100 feet of clear dirt around our houses. So my point is, yeah, I understand that. I'll be the first to admit I have my winter fireplace fire pile is on the front porch. I know that's breaking the rules. So the point is to be conscious about the things you want to do. If the beauty bar is something you want, you're conscious about keeping it wet. Brilliant. So you just make those informed decisions. Don't get there by happenstance. Just know what you're doing. Use that document as a guide. For example, my fire pile there now, I have a nice tarp covering it so that it's less likely to get an ember caught inside of it to catch a fire. Those kinds of logical thoughts. And one of the speeches I give when I do neuro meetings is the biggest asset the fire district has right now is an informed community. If you people, your organizations, your communities, your neighborhoods know what's going on and have logically thought about something or pre-planned something, that's a huge asset for us because we don't have that many people. We kind of alluded to it earlier, there's tax or insurance impacts here because of our lack of personnel in this region. We overall have, I think we have about 80 people in the district, volunteers or career or part-time. On any one day, I probably have 3 or 4 career firefighters, 1 or 2 part-time, and then whatever volunteers choose to work that day. So there's not a lot of people coming. And that's why we do that tone back or additional zone calls I ask, so we can get people who aren't working to come in. So you're being informed, you're being prepared, you're thinking about these things is a huge asset to us. The other note I want to make quickly is, I get staying. I want to protect my house too. I want to protect the pets and stuff, but the trick is the house is just stuff. The house is just stuff. It'll be painful, but hopefully it'll be a long pain because you've survived it and moved on. I don't want to lose life over a house, over grandma's picture. We'll remember grandma. It's okay. So happy for you to understand that you want to defend your house, but get ready for it. Make logical decisions. Don't just say, grandma's picture's here, I'm staying. If that makes sense to you. I just want you to be prepared.
Okay. And I just wanted to go back to one thing that I had said about the Campfire Paradise, California. Basically, they had a plan, it didn't work. That does not mean don't make a plan. Have a plan, as the chief likes to put it, have a plan you can throw away that doesn't work, but at least have a plan. And you guys have taken that initiative to make sure you have a good plan going. So
And thank you. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here today. This is critical stuff for us. We appreciate the compliments for us being on a Sunday. Me being here on a Sunday, having you do this all the time, means I'm probably not here on a Sunday in the middle of the night fighting a fire. Because you did the work, not us. Thank you.
All right, thank you, chiefs, and thank you all for coming. If you're a Nero captain or are interested in being a Nero captain, if you could hang out for maybe another 20 minutes or so, I'd like to talk to just the Nero captains since some of you are here. But otherwise, thank you for coming.